Hello everybody and welcome to the Real Housewives Edit. My name is Elle and I am here to talk about the two loves of my life, editing and housewives. Today I'm going to be covering the second half of the scene in the Aspen bar. I did a video where I started this scene, but then I literally just ran out of filming time. I did not plan it right and I had to go to the doctor. Some of you guys know I'm like 9 months pregnant, so I literally have to go to the doctor like every week. Thank you guys so much for subscribing, for liking the videos, and honestly for your insightful, amazing comments. So many of you are Housewives obsessed, just like me, and I just feel at home. Please leave your comment below. If you haven't subscribed and you've watched a couple videos, subscribe, give me a chance. You can always just unsubscribe later. So let's jump right in.
I don't know all the information. Neither do you.
I live with a moral compass. And I like to know that the people I surround myself with share that.
Okay, so very interesting. I think a lot of us agree that we like this side of Crystal, but the music is also helping her make her points.
I live with a moral compass.
It goes out when she is saying that last line.
And I like to know that the people I surround myself with share that.
And then you get that knife sharpening sound while Dorit reacts. It's giving her more strength, it's giving her words a little bit more weight, and really that's what music can do. If this was all with no music whatsoever, it might just be kind of like a simple exchange between the two of them, who knows? Music right here is just really helping Crystal out.
Oh wait, where's the white ball?
I want to point out these transitions that they do. So Crystal and Dorit just kind of had that sort of heated discussion, and then they go right to hitting a ball into the hole. That could just be seen as sort of like transitional stuff to show atmosphere, which they're definitely doing here. They're showing food being served, they're showing drinks being served, they're showing like, oh, Lisa Rinna's playing pool and all the gals are kind of just mingling about. But also that little clip where a ball is being hit, it almost feels like that's what that conversation was between Crystal and Dorit. It's almost like it's representing that like hole in one or, you know, defeat or whatever. It's kind of got that feel to it. Another thing I want you guys to think about is that that wasn't Lisa Rinna hitting the ball like that. Usually what they'll do for things like that, like transitions or things where they want to show some action happening, after all the ladies have gone home or before they pack up, they might do sort of some B-roll stuff like, okay, let's get, you know, someone hitting the ball into the pocket. Let's get some of the drink stuff. Like they get all that stuff usually later, but then they cut it in to sort of use as transition stuff.
Wait, where's the white ball? Do the sprints. Kyle! Kyle! I want you to get up and do the moonwalk! Kyle! Kyle! What? You moonwalk better than you play pool. Hi! Who does this remind you of?
Okay. So they did the split screen when Kathy is yelling at Kyle to do something. I thought that was very sisterly. One's like yelling at the other one to do something, and then Kyle's totally ignoring her while she's playing pool, and then she's like, what? Like, what do you want from me? I thought that was just a cute little moment. The reason why they leave that stuff in is obviously to show a little bit of relationship. You don't know what kind of context they're building there. I think it was Danny Pellegrino's podcast. He was talking about how he thought that moment felt very like probably what their mom did a lot, because the girls were all actresses, like telling them to do something like, oh, sing in front of us, or, you know, I thought that was a really funny insight and probably very true. And it felt like Kathy was doing a similar thing. The other thing I wanted to point out was this reaction from Sutton when Lisa screams at the pizza person. It was so subtle, you guys, but that little tiny reaction from Sutton, again, the editors can choose whatever they want for reaction shots. I don't know about you guys, but did you guys see like a tiny little bit of annoyance in Sutton's eyes when she kind of looked over? It could be taken as she's just looking over at the scream or looking over at the pizza. But to me, because I felt sort of annoyed at the scream and sort of this like huge celebration over, you know, pizza, I kind of took it as like Sutton is us right now. But I would love to hear your guys' opinion. Maybe that's just my personal beliefs coming through.
Wait, who does this remind you of? I'm gonna tell you right now. I'll tell you right now.
Why am I catching the sins of like somebody that I divorced?
Blah, 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 blah,
Oh
blah.
my God, really?
I was like this, sweetie, it's time for you to go.
Okay, so it's an interesting thing. Now they're getting reaction shots. These ladies are making fun of something that was actually like a serious situation, which I think Crystal's reaction and some of the reactions coming up that they chose are to show us, the audience, most of this group feels like it's a little too soon for that, except for the ones playing.
Time for you to go.
No, I'll stay here all night.
And I was like, no, ma'am.
What happened last night is not okay.
Okay, so I thought that was an interesting cut too that I really wanted to talk about, was that, you have these reaction shots of Sutton and you have the reaction shot of Crystal as they're sort of playing, and then they cut right to the conversation where Sutton's saying, what happened last night was not okay. In this conversation between them, you can actually see Lisa Rinna right behind Crystal. She's not next to Erika, making fun of Erika like she just was 1 second ago. So we know this conversation took place at a totally different time in the night. But of course, in the narrative, it works perfectly right here, right? You have one group making fun of it and one group saying it's totally not okay, creating a little bit of tension, creating a little bit of conflict. That's what they want to do. I talk a lot about like editors can manipulate things, but it's really not trying to lie to us. It really just makes sense in the context of the episode. Again, if they just let everything play out the way that it does just in real time, we would never want to watch this show because a lot of the times people in general are just boring. They pull out the best moments, they create the best story with actual real situations going on. Also, I wanted to point out when they're kind of laughing with Erika, I did think that Erika was like a little bit uncomfortable with that. What did you guys think? I felt like Erika had a little bit of like, is this too soon?
We'll always think it's okay.
Am I surprised that Lisa, Erika, and Kyle are laughing and making light of what happened last night? No. But Erika screaming at me all night, if I did that to one of them, be sure we would not be making light of it today. It would go on forever.
Good behavior every
I
time.
would just love one of Sutton, Garcelle, and Crystal to just call out the fact that like they're just the newer ones in the cast, and that's why they're just being hazed all the time. I just wonder so much in those confessionals if they actually talk about that type of stuff, like breaking the fourth wall type of stuff. That's the stuff we would love to see. But I do think there's a slippery slope where if they always were including producers in there and always including moments that felt like kind of like, they were breaking the fourth wall or breaking sort of the thing, I think it would pull us out a little bit. I do think having a little bit of a sheen on there, that we do feel like we're just a fly on the wall a little bit more and that they're less aware of the cameras, I do think that's good. And I do think if they went down that road too heavy, we would start to kind of check out in a different way. The show, we would be a little bit more removed from it. But I also think it would make it less fun when we actually do see it. When we see a producer moment or when we hear a producer ask a question in the confessional, we really lean in, and they live to create those lean in moments for us.
Good behavior every time. Gets dismissed.
Oh, what do you do? What do we do?
At some point, we're gonna all have to talk about this. I've already had this argument with Erika. At this point, I am retired. Y'all talk about it and I'll spectate. Okay, cowgirl?
Got it.
Okay, so we know Sutton is very sensitive. I don't know what you guys thought, but she definitely had some emotion in her eyes as she was talking to Crystal. In my opinion, they cut this conversation way down. They made it a little light. You can hear the music in the background's pretty light.
I've already had this argument with Erika. At this point, I am retired. Y'all talk.
It seems like Sutton was, maybe talking about it a little bit more, but again, they took a lot out, I think, of that conversation because it probably just didn't work with the storylines that they're really trying to work with right now. I do think that this episode in general was so chock full and so full of other storylines, they had to kind of pick and choose. So I do believe this conversation, though longer, they pulled it out and they kind of made it light. They ended with that light note with Sutton being like, I am retired, and Crystal being like, I got it. I'm gonna take one for the team and go handle this myself.
Erika, I don't like the way you spoke to me. I feel like you talked down to me.
Okay.
And last night, I literally say the same thing as Garcelle, and yet I'm
So
an
again,
asshole.
I thought that was a kind of a strange cut. She sat down, she said,
I don't like the way you spoke to me.
and she jumped right into it, which I think I totally related with that because I'm terrible at conflict. So the way that it comes out is very awkward. I don't know how to start it. That's how I felt about Crystal right there. She was just like, I'm just gonna bulldoze into this situation and say the first thing that comes to mind. But then I do believe that next thing that she said when she said this.
And last night, I literally say the same thing as Garcelle, and yet I'm an asshole.
I felt like that was a little bit further in the conversation. I don't know about you guys. It just felt like she was already peaked. I know she sat down and was a little bit peaked, But I just felt like she was all of a sudden like, she sat down at a 5, and then all of a sudden that next comment is like at a 9, when like, I believe there was probably a little bit more ramping in there, but they were like, let's just cut that out and get to the meat of this. And then Erika's sort of dismissive, like, okay, whatever.
And yet I'm an asshole.
This is the law we're talking about. We're not talking about personal relationships.
Why does it have to be always in a legal way?
Because I'm being f***ing sued. I've done nothing but be nice to you, supportive to you,
You have
honest
been
with
nothing
you.
but nice
and
to
all
me.
of a sudden, I don't do enough because I'm in a legal up mess for you and your ego. I don't
my ego.
Yeah, it is. Because you're making it about you.
Why can't I ask for you to show compassion
To you?
for victims?
Okay, that line had me like, wow. When you like are like calling someone something that you're clearly doing. I do this all the time, this is why I know it. I felt like maybe that was going on. They're not just showing a single shot on Erika while she is fighting this battle with Crystal. They're doing a lot of cutting to the 2 shots, which means 2 people in the shot, and then also this 3 shot with her and Kyle and Diana, who are looking on as she's doing this. Honestly, I think it's just the editors showing like, these are the sides here. They kept it single on Erika the whole time. Erika single, Crystal single, Erika single. Like, Crystal doesn't really have anyone next to her, and Kathy's next to her, but she's not doing anything. She's not really like an alliance with her. They keep using the 2 shots and the 3 shots, and I think they're doing that on purpose to kind of give us clues into like how the allegiances lie.
For victims, not for me. I don't need your
I've already
compassion.
done that.
Why is it a problem for me to feel this?
So they stopped that music again. I know in the last episode I talked about how they stop the music whenever Erika says something that everyone's like it's a record scratch. That's really what stopping the music does. It adds some flair, it adds some flavor, but it also can have like a record scratch feel to it, you know? So she says, I've already done that, you know, about the victims, and music stops. We get Sutton's look, we get Garcelle's look.
I've already done that.
Why is it a problem for me?
Those looks are really just us going, huh? I don't remember seeing anything about that. That is
Feel
strange.
this way, and it's not a problem that she feels that way.
That's not true.
No.
Say the truth.
No, we have been at it.
So why do you call me an asshole?
Because you are. I was the one that put my arms around you when you were crying all the time in Mexico.
Okay, so she says the thing because you are, and then you get this big reaction from Garcelle, and then the music changes. This is such a common thing that I see in Housewives. It's almost like a shift in the conversation, more deep or more serious or more dark. The music shifts.
I was the one that put my arms around you.
It's moving a little bit more. It's less stingers, as we would call them, where it's just like a tiny little piece of music with an end to it. This one right here has some legs and it's moving. And really, it's just to signal us like Erika's on a new tear here, because she literally just said, you know, Crystal's an a-hole, and now she's really going in
when you
on
were
her.
crying all the time in
Erika,
Mexico.
trust. I am so grateful for that.
It's okay, Crystal. I want you to fight for yourself, baby.
Okay, sweetie.
If you don't open your mouth, you allow others to fill in the story for you.
I just can't.
You want to tell me what the real deal is? I've been nothing but nice to you.
If she's your true supporter and has been nothing but supportive of you, why would
Okay, so now Lisa's in the mix. Honestly, before, remember you guys, it was just the 3 shot between Diana and Erika and Kyle, and now all of a sudden Lisa's sitting between Diana and Erika, I believe, which makes me think that this conversation went on a little bit longer. I know I always say that to you guys, but it's just interesting to point out, like, I would love to know what goes on in between all of those moments, you know, like how Lisa actually got to sit down in the conversation. The truth is, when you're editing stuff, you don't need to show linear all the time. You don't need to show like, oh, like if this person's sitting here, you need to show them walking over, unless it has an actual purpose in the narrative. I've talked to you guys before about trust as an audience. We as the audience want to trust that the network and that the production is using our time wisely. If they showed like tons of clips with people walking over to conversations and people doing things that they normally do before they, you know, I don't know, go outside to like the car or something like that, we as the audience would start to be like, like, just get past this stuff a little bit. I don't know if you guys ever watched 90 Day Fiancé. I went on a 90 Day Fiancé trip like a couple years back when I had another baby and I was like staying up at nights and I was watching 90 Day Fiancé, and I actually had to stop. I do love the show, but something about it, I just didn't trust production that much because they did a lot of drawing things out. They did a lot of red herrings, like they were like, oh, like, is she or isn't she going to show? And it would take so long to actually get to the moment. And I found myself just being like, they think I'm dumb. Like, or they just don't really respect my time. These episodes are so long and they're not really getting to what I really want to get to. If they were chock full, you know, it would be a different story. But just so you guys know, why these little things, like all of a sudden you'll see Rinna show up in a conversation, is because they don't need to tell the linear narrative of how she got over to sit down there. All they want to do is show what she's contributing to the conversation and honestly just continue to build on that narrative that she is on the Erika side of the alliance, if you will.
Why would you choose to go there last night?
This was about the earrings. When I saw that was a concrete thing. When I saw the receipt that it came out of Girardi Keys.
Let me tell you something about that story.
So interestingly enough, they cut to Diana twice and she's between two of the ladies wearing hats. Interesting that they showed that shot of her twice kind of looking back and forth, almost like she's watching a tennis match. There could be no point to it whatsoever other than just to show that she's like listening in on the conversation. It was curious to me because they cut to her and then cut right back to her.
Story. It's a year and a half old.
This came up this week. We've been talking about it all
but you're not
week.
even talking about, wait.
It is about showing compassion, that's all.
The case that you want me to have empathy for is not the same people. There's an impropriety of funds.
There are victims in that.
I don't know you an explanation about what's going on. As a matter of fact, today was a great day. Erika Girardi was dismissed.
This is not considered a win for Erika.
Okay, so I thought this little fight, it was disjointed again. And this is what I'm so curious of what you guys think. And please comment below. I really, really want your comments on this because I truly don't know. I don't know if this is an editing thing for time, that they're picking the juiciest information coming from each woman and sort of building this conflict between them to build this conversation, and it feels a tiny bit disjointed. Or, and this is what I'm starting to lean towards, does Erika have more talking points and she literally just says those talking points, and so Crystal's trying to have this sort of conversation that would have like a real flow, but Erika keeps coming back with stuff that, like, I don't know, it really just doesn't feel like it's a response to Crystal's questions or comments. Do you guys know what I mean? So I can't tell if it's editing or is it Erika. Honestly, it would make sense if it was Erika just from a legal perspective, just because she probably has stuff she knows she can say. I have some friends that are lawyers and they talk like that. Like, it's almost like you can't speak to them because they like know exactly what like is within their bounds when you're talking legal stuff, and they just like stick within that. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Please comment below.
Win for Erika. So we should not be sitting here celebrating, especially when there's still victims out there. And no matter what, whoever gets exonerated, that still exists.
Whatever. Look, I'm not going to get into legal strategy with you. Hooray. Glad you see it that way. Maybe I shouldn't have been nice to you. Maybe you should have fought it out on your own, and maybe you can just work it out from here. We're not going to get anywhere.
That also felt so out of the blue. Like, she's basically saying, like, you owe me for like saying nice things about you or saying nice things to you. I personally just feel like Crystal is strong in this scene, but she's just not, well, she's just not an opponent to Erika that's really gonna get her. I told you guys in the last episode, I wish we had some Meghan King Edmonds energy on here that is just like, can pull out facts. Pulling out facts in this kind of conversation, dates, court, like appointments, verdicts, which there have been lots of those things since, would be such a great way to shut this down with Erika and actually to create some respect from her, because what I feel like she's really just doing is just bulldozing everyone and thinking that no one is actually reading. A couple of them before like couldn't read the whole LA Times article or whatever, which is such a huge lie. If you have those about your friend, you're reading that whole article. You're subscribing to that newspaper. I wanted it to be stronger, and they're trying to make it stronger. They're pulling the best out of Crystal. They're pulling her best edit. But honestly, I just don't think it just didn't land. I don't blame her for 1 second. I wouldn't know how to do it. I would be like, blah, but Meghan King Edmonds might have something better.
We're not going to get anywhere tonight.
We're gonna put a pin in this.
Put a pin in it.
You guys, should we walk into the Caribou Club for 5 minutes to see it? It's a private club I belong to. It's so beautiful inside. You go peek in, have a drink, whatever, and then leave.
Okay, so I want you guys to look at that moment right there. So Kyle is talking about this Caribou Club, and Erika is actually still talking to Crystal. All they really did was pull down Erika's mic. Remember, she's got a mic just like I do, singular lavalier on. So does Kyle. They obviously found that what Kyle was saying is more important than what Erika was saying. So they turned up Kyle's mic in the edit meaning in the computer. The key for them is being able to like manipulate sound. There was one other thing I meant to mention with this on my last episode. There was this part where Lisa celebrates Erika and Diana coming in, like she's clapping. They turned that way down.
I thought you were coming back to the house.
I want you to come to the bar.
They can pick out whose voice
Whatever,
is
then
showing
leave.
up.
That's why Kyle wants to go to one more bar. What could possibly happen?
Okay, so this was such a great line from Erika from an editing perspective. Her saying,
What could possibly happen?
I don't know if they actually fed that to her. I doubt it. I doubt when the producers are, in the room with them, they're doing stuff that maybe the editors would want. But if the producer did ask her to say something kind of like that, like it would be genius, because from an editing perspective, you want something like that. You're looking for something to sort of set off this suspense. Erika says, what could possibly go wrong? Cut to black. And then this music comes up and the text comes up later that night, ... Okay, lean in moment from us, major suspense. What is going to happen? Erika just said, what could possibly happen? It's all leading us to some stuff that we're excited about.
My God, I haven't been here for 20 years. And by the way, if I don't get in, I'm not offended. I want you guys to go and have fun. If you don't get in, you're gonna get in. But if I don't, it's fun.
Okay, so that was such an interesting cut to me, right? Like, it's Lisa and Kathy and Kyle, and they're kind of chatting, and then they cut down to Lisa's hands scratching Kathy's knee. It's a very, affectionate thing between friends. It was probably used as well to manipulate some of the dialogue that was going on. In any case, what they're trying to show is, everyone was cool. They were just talking about very basic stuff, like, is Kathy gonna get in because she's not dressed correctly, etc.
She can get in with a if I don't, I don't.
Well, they tried to take Kris Jenner's jacket when we were here. And she goes, it's my whole jacket. And they kicked
No, it's my outfit.
She goes, it's my whole outfit. And she had they're very strict about it. Very. Bye. Kathy, get those sweatpants fired up.
They're not sweatpants.
So all tons of light moments, right? And me, just from my editing perspective, I was watching this and I was like, this is a lot of light moments. Do they have anything dark? I've gotten some skepticism in me a little bit when it comes to these to be continueds. There's a lot of talk about sweatpants and the Jenners and who cares about all that stuff. Why is all that going on? One light clip of Kathy being like, oh, am I gonna get in? Lisa scratches her knee. Oh my gosh, you're so gonna get in, blah, blah, blah. Cut to the club. I'm like, oh, okay, something major's going on. But there's just a lot of lightness going on. For me being skeptical, I was like, this feels like it's gonna be anticlimactic.
Fun, y'all. Oh my God, I can't.
Okay, so door closes. What do we do again? Fade to black, music goes out, then all of a sudden, a little bit more frantic music cue, several hours later, ...
I know the idea of Kathy Hilton. This socialite is kind, is loving, is a pillar of society. The world thinks she's somebody that she's not.
Okay, so they had Lisa's confessional narrating basically what's going on with those texts, and then it's this really fast, wartime sound to it, and then all of a sudden, bong, you hear that big sound as it cuts to black, and then there's a to be continued. I'm excited to find out what is really going on here. I don't know if you guys are part of following stuff in the Bravo sphere, but I have heard some talk about people saying you know, Lisa Rinna and everyone's trying to make this a bigger deal than it is. I just don't think those texts like blew me away. Again, this is really the only part of Bravo my trust falters a little bit, or sort of on these cliffhangers, which I think is interesting because anytime you watch a movie where, you know, there's going to be a second part of it and they'll do a cliffhanger at the end, or you know, in TV shows, when you used to have to watch all of the commercials, they used to, you know, do cliffhangers at each commercial break where you're like, oh my gosh, they basically don't want you to flip the channel. Cliffhangers are really, yeah, meant to keep you watching. And I think what Bravo, I'm gonna give a PSA to Bravo right now, which is, we're gonna keep watching. Housewives fans are the most invested in the characters. Plot is definitely a big part of it, but the characters' journey, their storylines, we are more invested in finding out, like, you know, anytime you see a character like, okay, what are they gonna do next week? Or what are they doing to self-destruct? Or what are they doing to come back from a self-destruction? That's the stuff we kind of get invested. When they start getting into kind of plotty stuff, or even like antics or pranks or dumb stuff like that, something like this maybe rides the line a little bit because we're getting some character development of Kathy, which maybe we haven't seen before. I'm always just like, Bravo, we don't need it. Like, just show a little bit of it. It's fun editing and all that stuff. But I do think, like, if next week it comes out and we either A, don't have the footage of Kathy going crazy, or B, like, it isn't as crazy as they are kind of purporting it to be, we as the audience are gonna be like, next time we see this, we continue to lose trust. And the last thing you wanna do is to lose the trust of your audience. I think about it all the time when I make the YouTube videos for you guys. You know, I just wanna make sure that I continue to stay consistent. There's just things you wanna do. You sort of set the tone with your audience, like, this is what you're coming to see, and then you deliver on what they say is like the promise of the premise. You have to deliver on it. And once you start to not deliver on it, or you start to stray away, or you start to do different things, or you try to trick your audience's trust starts to falter. And honestly, that is when, you know, shows, I think, start to lose their ratings or whatever. That is just enough about that. You guys, thank you so much for watching. I have been filming extra scenes and extra episodes because when I do have the baby, I know I'm not gonna be able to be filming current stuff. So I'm gonna be putting out a lot of throwbacks. If you guys have any comments or anything that you would like to see, please throw it in the comments below. I've gotten so many amazing suggestions from you guys, and I will deliver on all those suggestions. I promise. I have a little list and I continue to add to it. So everything you guys put up there, I put in there and I'm going to cover. So thank you so much for watching, and until next time.
Oh! They're from Craig's. Oh my God.
Refrigerator.
Oh, it's so pretty.
Do not look at them.
It's getting out of control.